Casey Wilson, owner of Roseville Strength and Conditioning and one of your co-hosts of the Do or Do Not podcast. And this is
Brad, and I'm thankful to be co-host again. And before you start, I just want to make a public apology of underestimating how hard it is to do a solo podcast. I've learned a hard lesson. You know, I edited my own video and I was cringing the whole time. Like talking is hard.
When I was watching it, I was cringing the whole time.
Yeah, you know, and I'm just gonna let Casey do most of the talking again. I'm just going to sit back because I've had strokes during that podcast, so I apologize. I'm old. I don't know what's going on. Call me Biden. You know, I don't know.
There was a couple of times where you were like reaching, and I was just starting off. Like my son comes walking out and he goes, "Where are you?" Because I watched the podcast on TV, and he goes, and I'm just like laughing. And he goes, "What are you laughing at? Why aren't you in it?" And I was just like, Brad did a solo one, and right now he's grasping for words, and I'm laughing at him because he's grasping for words.
I mean, just call me.
Not that I don't sometimes. Like I bring.
Let's go, Joe Biden. Me. I don't know. It was hard. I
bring notes and stuff because in case I get stuck on something.
Yeah.
I mean, I have pretty good recall stuff, but when we've done these podcasts, sometimes I'll try to bring we'll try to think of names.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, oh crap, I can't think of that for the part of it is we're both 52.
Yeah.
You know,
but it comes with the
territory. I have great recall of stuff. I have like a really good memory. I'm really good at trivia and stuff.
And you have a good voice. You have a good voice.
Yeah, but it's
you speak clearly.
But there's times where I'm like, I cannot remember this. I can't. You know, you're just like, you can't get it. So, but I was laughing at your ass. So
I take it all back.
Oh, okay.
No more fuck Casey at the end of episodes. I'm just going to give him hugs.
No more saying that I wear rainbow t-shirts and shit.
Well, I won't tell him about your assless chaps. But I mean, really,
do you know that all chaps are assless, right?
Well, okay, I did not know that because again,
chaps are just go over your jeans whatever pants you're wearing out on the, not anyway.
We'll get you sidetracked, but I just wanted to throw that out there that it's a lot harder than what it looks, and he's really good at it, and I'm not. So you take it away, big guy.
I'm not really good at it, but
much better.
We do pretty good together. We're better together.
We are definitely better together.
Yeah, that's why we started doing it. Remember?
Yep.
People were like, you guys should do a podcast because you guys are funny. You guys, because we play off each other pretty well.
And I'm like, I don't need this dead weight. I'm just going to go here and rock the mic. And then everything just went poof.
Yeah. And what's hilarious is I had to miss 1 week.
Yeah.
Just because, some family emergency type stuff. And, but Brad's missed and family emergencies with vacations.
Kids.
And I still after I did the one, it turned out all right.
It turned out really good.
But I was I prefer to do, the reason why we do is because we actually like doing it together. So
yeah, it was pretty miserable to crank out the 27 minutes. So
all right, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about just some TV shows and stuff going on. The main topic will be Paradise, but first, because Brad gave me a good recommendation finally.
Finally, he watches.
So I watched Paradise. I binged it all in one day.
Yes.
On a Sunday afternoon.
Perfect Sunday type of show.
Holy crap. It was really good. Now, with that being said, he was pumping it up big time. And I'm thinking this thing might be as good as American Primeval as much as this guy's pumping it up, but it was not. But with that being said, it was really good. So we're going to go over some stuff. And the main thing I wanted to go over was, have you heard about the casting? So I put the Supernatural car up here because it is my third favorite all-time show.
Yes. This might be my favorite top of all the tops we have.
Yeah, it's we could probably do show after show after show on Supernatural. I literally have it on my Netflix. I've watched it. I've watched the whole series all the way through, and then I probably watched it all the way through again just by watching bits and pieces. But now I'm in the second season again as I'm going all the way through it. But whenever there's something that I don't really want, I don't want to watch, or I'm just not in the mood to start a new series or something like that.
Yeah,
I'll just put Supernatural on Netflix on my continuing to watch thing on. And it never disappoints.
Never.
I absolutely. There's certain parts and episodes and parts of different seasons that I love more than others.
Yeah.
But it never disappoints. It's good every time.
It's just good to be back with Sammy and Dean.
And they're all going to be on an episode of
My boys.
The Boys.
I know.
Which I may have to watch. I watched season 1, and after that, I just was like, all right. I started watching season 2 and went, I'm done. It just wasn't my. I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
It just is. I don't know.
It gets over the top quick.
Yeah, I don't like ridiculous bullshit. Like if I'm gonna watch a show that, like, let's say The Naked Gun, I love that.
Mhm.
But you're watching it because it's funny.
Yeah.
Like it almost becomes a parody of its own self as a TV show. It just gets
Yeah.
too over the top. And I think a few episodes into the second season, I was just like, okay,
You didn't like a guy crawling through a guy's penis?
I didn't like it.
It was like one of the first.
It gets to be like the same shit, just
Yeah.
done a little differently. Like, all right, the speedster runs through somebody and they turn into dust.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. But how many other ways can you make somebody disappear into a bloody cloud? Or
They
whatever?
find a lot.
They find a lot, and it just doesn't. There's so much good stuff out there. You really have to have a real well-rounded show.
I will say,
For me to be like Paradise, where I got
Yeah.
into it, or American Primeval, where I'm like, I got to see the next episode. I got to see the next
Yeah.
episode.
That's so good.
Those are the shows that I love to watch. Like, there's some good ones out right now they're every stupid week. You have to wait a whole week to get another episode, which that's
Aren't
what I
we
really
past that
don't like.
now?
We should be past it. Look at like Amazon Prime now. I got to watch fucking commercials. I pay like $140 a month for Amazon or year for Amazon Prime.
Yeah. And now you got to watch commercials.
And now I got to watch fucking commercials. Fuck you, Amazon. I mean, I'm not paying you any more goddamn money. I should get to watch my shit without any goddamn
Bezos,
commercials.
you're worth like $350 billion.
Fuck you, Bezos. You fuck.
Just give us without the commercials. What's going on?
Now, I respect the man and what he's done, and I love Amazon, and I'm getting my shit quick, and I'm not one of those weirdos who's like, I'm boycotting Amazon. I'm not going to be on X. I'm keying Teslas. But with that being said, what the fuck are you putting commercials on? You haven't made enough goddamn money off us? We don't pay 140 or whatever it is a year for this shit? Like, I get it just for delivery.
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to get Prime, and I'm like, okay, Prime's become better and better. There's shows that I really like on Prime.
Yes.
Like Reacher right now.
Reacher's good.
Now, Lord of the Ring crap, Rings of Power suck. Wheel of Time, I actually was really hoping it was going to be great. And the first season was okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it, but I was hoping it was going to get better. Second season blew, and now I won't even watch the third season. But they fuck everything up. But Reacher's
great. Invincible, which you won't watch. Very good.
Yeah. There's certain things. I think as I'm getting older, if it's a cartoon, I can't. I'm like, look, I have to watch enough cartoons with my granddaughter. Moana too, very good. I really like Moana too.
Says the guy who watched all the Star Wars cartoons. Just saying.
Yeah, but I mean, those are canon and they're very adult-like. But Invincible, it's like very superhero.
It's very dark.
It's very dark and violent, and I don't mind dark and violence. Like, I love American Primeval, and that was dark and violent.
Yeah.
It's
they suck you in with the bright colors.
It's not like a good. You have to have a good story.
Yeah.
Like the Rebels. I mean, and then it's also based off canon and off live action stuff. It goes along with them. Now, Rebels, I loved. It was one of the few Disney Star Wars things that I actually liked, and it's why I was a big fan of Dave Filoni until recently, when I think he's shitting the bed. He thinks that he could redeem himself. I will wait for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and see if he can redeem himself. But until then, I am not on the filet
Ahsoka season 2.
I liked Ahsoka, all right, and Ahsoka season 2 better be banging.
Yep.
Mandalorian Grogu better be banging. Because he's in charge. He can't say anything anymore. He has creative control. Kathleen Kennedy cannot come in and mess something up. He's the one who has to mess it up.
Yep.
Anything going forward now, that's why the only reason I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, because the Acolyte, he was an executive producer on.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're an executive producer on that shit show.
One of the
worst Disney thing ever made. You have executive producer credits. I would, like I said, if I had nothing to do with it, or if I just gave some recommendations as advice, and they didn't even take those recommendations, I would have said, take my freaking credit off there. I don't want to be an executive producer on this pile of shit. But with that being said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So let's get into a really good show. Anyway,
real quick,
I would almost watch the episode of The Boys just to see Misha Collins.
Season 3, Dean Winchester's, was it Jason Ackles?
Jensen Ackles.
Jensen. See, they got it. I'm old. He is so good in season 3 of The Boys. His character, the soldier, is a whole
I almost
thing.
started watching because of him. I saw
Oh.
clips and I almost go, I need to go back and watch that because I love
the
him so
best
much.
character. It was really him. He had an interview. He was like, I just took Dean Winchester and like cranked him up to 11. Just made him way more Dean. And then that was his character.
Dude, and Dean is the best.
And he's like Dean from the 40s. Like, come on, Brad.
I've been seeing a lot of interviews that they're doing podcast stuff, and they were talking about the final season of Supernatural, because you and I did a podcast on like Supernatural, whole podcast where it was like an hour and something.
Yeah.
And
we just gone on.
And we were like sitting there going, we could do just podcasts just on Supernatural. Just like
Supernatural rewatch.
Let's watch season 1 and we'll do like a podcast or whatever. So good.
Yeah, man. His character is very Dean related in how he deals with stuff. So just might want to watch a little bit of it. Season 3.
I don't know.
We'll see. You don't have to watch season 2 because it's all about season 3.
Let's see. What do I got right now? I got Reacher, 1923.
Yeah.
And one other show that's weekly. Daredevil Born Again. I'm watching.
Yeah.
Which you haven't watched.
I haven't watched last night's.
I haven't watched last night's either.
Yeah. Watched the first 3 or so episodes.
It's okay. So from everything I understand is they filmed like 7 episodes, 5 to 7 episodes, and then scrapped it. But you're using some of those episodes and they're spliced them together.
Kevin Feige watched it and he said, how come the first 7 episodes, it was like a Law and Order. Each episode was its own court case.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige is like, where's the fighting? Where's the costume? Where's the thing? And they went back and they hired the stunt coordinator and they hired some of the people who did the Netflix show.
The original showrunner, I believe.
Yeah.
Like,
and said, can you save this? And they're like, certainly. So that whole opening from season 1 / spoilers were Daredevil's fighting Bullseye. That was all done like
afterward. That wasn't the
way
original.
Afterward.
It was going to be Foggy and her.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go too far down this because it's we're only in the 3rd episode and we're going to talk mostly about Paradise, but we're just going to touch on it a little bit where Foggy and Karen were dead for years already is how it was going to start out. And he was in the court doing these things and he was no longer Daredevil and hadn't been for a long time. And they were going to have all these episodes. I think they said they would be like in the teens before he actually put the suit back on. Yes. And now it's going to be episode.
I think it's the 2 they released. I've seen pictures of him in his episode.
I heard. Well, let's see, what would it be? 1, 2. It'd be 4 and 5.
Yeah, they released 2 last night.
So we haven't watched them. So we'll talk about it in another podcast.
Either way, it's already way better. The first 3
the
were
Punisher wasn't going to be in it at all.
I know.
Because John Bernthal went, fuck you, this is horrible shit, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And then they redid everything and he said, hell yeah, I'll do it, because it wasn't true to the character that he was. And of the last episode, not that great of an episode, except for the interaction between Matt Murdock and the Punisher, Frank Castle.
So good.
It was so intense. That guy is both of them are great actors, but John Bernthal, he is so good.
We could do a whole episode on John Bernthal. Yes, you can't go back.
That's it. He is the Punisher.
I don't care if he's 5'6" or whatever he is.
Yeah, like somebody was showing pictures of him like as being the God of War. What's the character in God of War?
I don't remember. I'm old.
Whatever his name is.
Did you not
he's
see
a big old huge guy. But they showed pictures that he should be the live action because they're going to talk about doing a live action God of War. It's being written or being produced. They want
Reacher that.
Yeah, but you can't make him. But he is built like that guy.
Yeah,
John Bernthal cannot play that character. Sorry, he's a midget. Compared to that character is like looks like it's 6'5" to 7 foot tall in the video.
Yeah, well, what's funny? He's in a new movie with Ben Affleck, who was like 6'3".
Yeah,
kind of big guy, and
the original Daredevil.
All the
Daredevil,
and all the pictures you see of like the set is like John Bernthal sitting on these big apple boxes, so he can be semi tall as
you mean the old Tom Cruise
exactly. All right, Ben, you're gonna stand in this ditch. But anyways, sorry to interrupt. Paradise.
Well,
Daredevil.
just going over Daredevil. So far it's been hit or miss. or even episodes are hit or miss, where like half the episode sucks and the other half's pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. So I'm hoping that once they get done using all this previous footage and
Yeah.
they get into the second half of the season, it gets real good. And then the second season, which they're gonna bring a new like well, we won't get into it. We'll spend half the podcast talking about it. But they're gonna bring a bunch of other vigilante heroes back.
Yes.
And
Let's
they're
do
gonna
it.
put a team to go against, Fisk's mayor anti-vigilante team or whatever. So I'm excited about what could become of it. But right now, I give it 60% on a scale.
3.5 kettlebells out of 5.
I would give it 2.5 kettlebells out of 5
Fair
because
enough.
half the stuff's
Fair
been
enough.
good and half of it hasn't been good. So,
Yep.
so I'm hoping that it gets closer to 5 as we go. In 1923, I haven't watched the last episode. Just so they're stretching it out though.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the next time I turn it on, like tonight or something, if I watch the Sunday episode just came out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's fucking finally back to the goddamn ranch. Come on.
I heard that's the biggest complaint, that it's kind of like they could have.
It's taken forever. It's like you're going down the road. Here's a roadblock. Here's a roadblock. Here's a roadblock. Oh, let's take you out here. Let's go over. It's like, come on. I get it. It's a big challenge to travel back then, but it's almost like they're trying to imitate how long it would actually take to travel from Africa to Britain to the United States across the country. It's like they're trying to draw it out for as long as it would actually take.
Maybe by 1928 he'll be there.
Good Lord. So anyway, let's hope that that doesn't drag out so far, but that's a great show. And then on to Paradise. Ooh. Okay. So if you haven't watched Paradise, it's on Hulu.
Yep.
Highly recommend it. Get ready to binge. I did it in one day. Like I started in an afternoon.
I did it like 2 days.
I started like in an afternoon around 2:00 and finished in the, I don't know, in the evening time or whatever. It's 8 episodes.
Yep.
It is probably one of the better shows. I would put it in the top 10 over the last couple years that I've watched.
If American Primeval is a 10, I think to me this is like an 8.5.
No, American Primeval's a 10.
Yeah.
And this is like a 7.
Maybe I liked a little bit more, but it's
you have to go up like this to me. Now, was every season a 10? No, but if you take the whole 15 seasons of it, it's a 10 because there's
season 5 might have been a 9.4. Just saying.
I'm just talking about the whole of it. Or like my second favorite is Game of Thrones of all time.
Yeah, that was really good.
Do you know anybody who worked on Game of Thrones?
I do.
What was his name?
The person I worked with?
No, the person that worked on it that may be sitting in this room.
Oh, well, if you want to talk about the job that I did for Game of Thrones, like let me tell you.
You had a very minor role.
I had to cover a lot of boobs, and it was probably the happiest moment of my life. Right above the kids being born. Okay, it was like, hey, Brad, we need to cut these. We need to take the nudities out of these, season 1 of Game of Thrones and season 2, so we can ship them overseas to more conservative countries. So, I'm your man. Looking at boobs at, big monitors, 4K.
Couple those nipples with a little bit of peach color. And
I had to move put fake bras on them or put fur covering different things. And
there was some outstanding breasts in that.
Oh my gosh. I came to work early, might have taken stuff home on a hard drive. I don't know. Just don't want to incriminate myself too hard. But it was
anyway, that's my second favorite show of all time. Magnum PI is obviously my favorite show of all time. But I would put it up there in the last 2-3 years with like Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Is probably my 4th favorite of all time.
Yeah.
So it's up there. It's a really good show. And it's very 80s-ish. 80s or 90s.
I like your 90s. Yeah.
80s is a little more, to be honest, 80s was a little more edgy.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? We got to see Sterling K. Brown's ass.
Well, let's just jump right to it.
But with that, let's not go down that route yet. we'll get to that complaint that we have when we start talking shit about what they could have done better. But in general, it is a show that they try to do a lot of twists and turns. They don't try, they do.
Yeah.
Now, Brad kind of gave me an idea of what the show was about.
I
so
had to get
I
you
wasn't-
interested.
I wasn't shocked by things. I realized I noticed things that you wouldn't notice if you know it.
Yep.
So if you haven't watched the show, you might not want to watch the podcast and just trust our opinion and go watch it. Then come back and watch the podcast later because we're gonna break it down in depth.
Going cold. It's really good.
There's a lot of flashbacks in the show, so they tell the story in flashbacks.
Yeah.
All right. So in the regular, it's basically a Secret Service agent and his family.
Sterling K.
But you don't hardly see his wife because she's gone, and she's gone for a long time too. But we might see her in the next season.
Yeah. Well, let's hope.
Maybe not.
I know.
Maybe him and the doctor just keep, and we get some better scenes than we got. You know,
as long as they keep her employed.
I'm all about Sarah Shahai or whatever. I'm all about keeping her in highly employed in any show that I watch. She is she's a hottie. Anyway, so he's a Secret Service agent, and he is with the president, and the president is kind of a drinker and
he's young.
He's very young. He's played by James Marsden.
Yep. Who I thought gave a great performance.
What a good actor. This is a good act. So here's the deal. You have a pretty good story.
Yeah.
You know, like you've seen variations of the story, but in general, it's a pretty darn good story. Yeah. So you got a good story, pretty good writing, not super original, but definitely original in some of the things that they do. Yeah. But you have great actors. Dude, Gerald McCraney.
Yes.
Dude, Simon and Simon back in the day used to come on after Magnum PI.
Yeah.
My dad loved Gerald McCraney. I don't know he loved that show, but he always thought he was a good actor. And he always kind of looked a little bit like my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was probably better looking than him, but my dad's a real handsome guy.
My dad also kind of looks at him, and he's probably better looking.
Yeah, but when they were young, my dad was young but he plays the father and a dementia patient of the president, but he's the power broker, like one of them at least. Sinatra is the big power broker, but this is a guy who is rich and he's an oil guy and just, he's a badass, but he has dementia. So you see this frailty and this, sadness in him and this, weakness that he has. So he does really good at playing that role too.
Should we tell just a vague outline
break it down. So we start off with there's a lot about the Secret Service part of it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's about Sterling K. Brown. He becomes the president's man.
Yep.
He's the chief in charge of his protection detail.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interaction. Hey, the president does little shit like take your shoes off.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interaction between them. And then there's all this other stuff going on with what a character that eventually becomes called Sinatra.
Yeah.
Who's a tech person. And then her kid gets sick and has a rare disease. And there's all this story building. But the overall arch of this is the connection between Sinatra, the president, how Sinatra and his dad and other basically got
secret cabal
basically got him elected to become president. Yes. Because they all knew this shit was coming down. It was all Now here's the one thing I don't like. Like I get super volcanoes. I've been into those, like Yellowstone's a super volcano. If it blows, America's pretty much fucked. We'll probably invade Mexico and stuff and take those countries. That's literally if the super volcano goes.
It's every country out for themselves.
You're fucked.
That point.
The whole world is fucked, but the United States is really fucked.
Yeah.
Anyway, super volcano goes off in Antarctica, causing a massive tidal wave. Which this is the big part of the story, though.
This is huge.
Okay,
we're blowing it. Spoilers all around.
Yeah. So it's hard to go because this show jumps around in flashbacks.
It is.
So it's hard to go in chronological order. So anyway. They know all the shit's coming down, right? And world ending or world, resetting type of thing is happening. Yeah. And they're preparing for this.
Sinatra has run simulations of about what's going to happen.
She's a tech nerd and she's the power broker. And she's a bad bitch.
She is scared of the end of the world. She wants to protect her daughter. Her son died because of this disease. She has a daughter and she's like, I'm going to protect you. She is extremely rich. They never tell you how rich she is. She started off selling a company for like $30 billion, but you could tell
32 billion.
Yeah. After time of that, she's, like Elon Musk rich. I mean, essentially, she's like an Elon Musk.
Yes, she's very, very rich.
And she's like, I'm going to save my daughter. I'm going to save part of humanity. And she makes this computer simulation that does this. And they find that this mega volcano is going to blow in the Arctic.
There's this very blunt, rude, disrespectful, horrible doctor.
Yes.
Who basically like is telling everybody this is going to happen, but nobody listens. So he's really
really
angry about everything. And he's basically a fuck you guy. Like, I enjoy him. Yeah. I don't believe in all the global warming.
Yeah.
I don't believe in all the man-made global warming is going to destroy the earth. I think it's a racket. But there are.
Earth will be fine. We might be fucked at some point.
Dinosaurs died. Maybe it was a comet impact that we think, an asteroid, whatever it is. There's shit that we're fragile. We're out here in the middle of space. Yep. Shit can happen. And we're also, super volcano goes off, we're fucked. There's natural things that can fuck us, and we can try to protect ourselves as much as we want. Just like Sinatra tries to protect herself and protect a cabal of people.
Yes. And the mega volcano was just the first domino. So everyone understands all the world governments who are prepared, and they say that some governments don't believe that this is going to be as big as deal. Other ones are like, this is the end. But everyone knows that we're in for a very large volcanic, like almost a post-nuclear winter, and everything's going to be fought for. Natural resources are going. So as this goes off, everyone's like, okay, we're attacking everybody preemptively, because it's every country for themselves. So as the volcano's going off and it releases a 2-mile high wave.
You know what's a really good thing to think about?
What?
So let's say the U.S. government, even right now, or let's say there's people inside the U.S. government that know that Yellowstone's starting to come back to activity.
Yeah. Is that why we're going to take over Canada and Greenland?
Then we go and we start fucking going, all right, we know this shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's start fucking Mexico, fucking Canada, over on the eastern part of Canada.
Anywhere away from Yellowstone. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go fucking start taking these places because we're going to recolonize.
Essentially, that's what's going on. So like China and Russia, they launch all their nuclear weapons. And this is all explained out of the 8 episodes. This all comes out in episode 7. So they're teasing you what this massive catastrophe was.
They don't really tell you what it is. They talk about ice in Antarctica and global warming and all this stuff, but they don't really talk about the volcano.
No. And then you get to episode 7 and they're like, okay, this is play by play of like how the whole world went to shit.
Yeah, he kept telling me episode 7 was great. And it was, but like sometimes you built stuff up too much.
Come on.
Dude, episode 7. Like you knew
it was good.
You pretty much knew what was going to happen. I didn't know all the exact details, but by episode 7, I go, well, they got to start telling us all the shit, like they got to start really. And so you didn't know about the super volcano, but you know that there's a earth ending, and there's going to be a nuclear war, because there's little flashbacks of explosions and stuff like that. But what we didn't know, that our good president, who was bought and paid for and put into place, has a conscience.
Yes.
So it wasn't as bad as everybody thought it would be, which is what's going to lead to season 2 and what's going to be happening. But
so,
I'm gonna let you explain this.
Okay.
So, because you're like, I'm into it. You're so excited about it.
I'm so excited. So, Jason Marsden, he's on the plane. Thank you. See, this is why I'm really bad at doing solo, because I need him. I need his memory. He's on the plane with Sinatra, who is like the leader of the cabal. It's like, if it makes you feel better, President, this is all like we figured this whole thing out. And it's the right thing to do is to launch our nukes, to give our country the best chance, because when everything settles down, we want America to be able to hoard whatever resources are left. And he says, no, I'm going to do the opposite of that.
First, go over where are they flying in the plane to?
Oh, yeah. So all course of the season, at the end of episode 1, you understand that let's start from the beginning. Episode 1 starts with the president.
It's really hard to explain because there's so many flashbacks.
There's so many flashbacks. So episode 1 starts with the president being murdered, and Sterling K. Brown comes in, sees that the president's murdered, And that's what you think is the main hook.
And you also know there's a power struggle because he wants to see everything and know everything before he reports that he's been killed. So there's this half hour that he takes to try to get all the evidence he can and remember it all in his head, because he knows he's going to be taken off, of this investigation. So he wants to figure out who really killed the president.
That's right. Okay. And so you're thinking, okay, I can handle this because I went in cold. I didn't know anything about anything. I was just told.
I was already you gave me a heads up about a lot of stuff.
Because otherwise I don't think you'd watch it. And so I'm like, all right. And then you're thinking, all right, we're going to find out who killed this president. And then you find out that they're all living in this underground cave with a fake sunlight. And it's like this town.
It's not an underground cave. It's a hollowed out mountain in Colorado.
Yeah. And it looks like this picturesque town. They have like ice cream shops,
Smallville.
Schools. Yeah, it kind of does look like Smallville. They have, everyone has these fancy bracelets and, but you see little things like you saw, like you see like the ducks in the pond.
Those aren't real ducks.
You find out that like the insect noises are just recordings. Like they don't have any meat. Everything is like soy based and stuff. And so you find these little details. And at the end, like the last shot is like it pulls up and you see like a fake sun that's being powered by a bunch of lights and like it's all being controlled. So like, whoa, like what happened? You don't know why they're in the cave. You don't know who built the cave. But then you learn that this lady, Sinatra, and the cabal figured out.
Cabal of billionaires.
Yes. Figured out that this thing was probably going to go off and it was going to lead to all these catastrophic events. And so she hires a bunch of like the world's best scientists and builders and stuff. And like she tells this one guy, like, build me my underground city. And then you follow like these workers and they're working these guys to death, the laborers. And then one guy is like, there's
arsenic in it. And it kills them. They all get cancer and die.
Yeah. And they don't care. The guy who finds arsenic gets locked out, He
gets locked out. Then he tries to kill the president.
And so they're flying in the Air Force One. He sees all the nuclear weapons flying over. He knows that there's going to be like a 3-mile high wave taking over the coast, going to destroy everything that's like below 300 feet or above an elevation. And he's looking at Sinatra. Sinatra's saying, you got to launch the nukes. And he's like, no, I'm going to do the blue card. Everyone knows about the red card that launches the nukes. They don't know that the blue card, if you do that, it sends EPMs everywhere and essentially puts the Earth back at Stone
Age. And there's a flashback back to the Bay of Pigs where we almost got nuclear war. And the guy who came up with this.
Yes.
And you figure it out because he turns the light and you go EMP burst. Like basically, if you do an EMP burst, you can shut down any electronic devices that aren't really protected, right?
Yep.
And so he does an EMP burst and takes down all the nuclear. So not all the nuclear missiles go off. So the whole world isn't eviscerated by nuclear war.
Yes.
So it's something that was developed that only a very small group of people know about.
Yes.
That he doesn't have to fire all the nukes. There's a red card and a blue card.
Yep.
The red card is he's firing all of the United States nukes at all of our targets that we have already pre-targeted. The blue card is he just shuts everybody's nukes off.
Yeah.
From satellites rotating the Earth that, basically hit the signal. And then you see a picture of Earth and there's like a blue thing going around it. And it just takes down all
it's like a worldwide EPM. Yep, it is.
Some of the nuclear missiles do hit.
They do.
Not all of them do. He's able to stop a major nuclear holocaust.
So that's the one thing. And then you get Sterling K figures out that Sinatra.
Let's also go back to where, because we got to also.
I know
Xavier Collins.
Yeah.
So him and the president are really close.
Yep.
They like each other a lot.
Yep.
And then when this tidal wave thing goes down, it happens sooner. The scientists are telling them we'll have 10 or 11 days before we. All of a sudden, this thing goes off and starts
without warning.
Without warning. Well, Xavier Collins' wife is in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's Sterling K. That plays Xavier.
Yeah. And so I just don't want to keep calling Sterling K around because that's not who he is. He's a Xavier Collins in the show. His wife is not there, and so the president's trying to get her picked up, but everything happens so fast she ends up dying in a nuclear at least we think she died in a nuclear blast. But that's where the show takes some turns at the at
Yes.
the end, which is really
You
interesting.
find out that
Sinatra's
she's a good
genius.
evil person.
She's prepared for every scenario except for the psycho.
Yep. Which you could save that. So she sends out, over the course of the season, she sends out people to see what's going on out there. And the people that she sent out,
The president actually sent people. She did not want people going.
Oh, that's true. The president sent a team of people out into the wilderness to see how bad the earth is. And they find other human beings.
They're getting radio broadcasts from other human beings.
So Sinatra kills them all.
Kills all 4 of them.
Yep.
She sends one of the Secret Service agents who used to be military and then a merc. And then so there's a Secret Service detail there.
He's such a good character too.
Oh, he's a great character. See, that's what I'm saying is this is what makes the show. This is what makes the show is there's a bunch of good acting. There's a good story. There's a lot of little twists and turns.
Yes.
And it's why it was like, so when you look at the daily streaming things, like, like who's streaming the most, the only Hulu show that was like number 4 or 5 when I saw the thing was Paradise.
Yes.
It's like right up there with a lot. Netflix usually dominates the top 10 because it's the number 1 streaming service.
And this show does it so well. The way they release this information keeps you totally engaged, I thought.
It's so good. I mean,
we're jumping around a lot.
Because it's really hard. Like a lot of shows are linear. This is very non-linear. The whole first season is half the time you're in the past and half the time you're in the future. And they jump back and forth so much, but the stories are very well done with the flashbacks. There's a lot of flashback shows that suck because the flashbacks are not good. They're not interwoven with what's going on in reality, but they're very good about telling the story. The person who made I have no idea who made this. The producer and the director and the
bravo,
screenwriters.
Man.
Very, very well done how they do, because it's not easy to do flashbacks.
No.
And there's a lot of people get turned off, and I'm one of them that if you do flashbacks bad, I'll turn the show off.
And I just want to take a second about just like the people who play these characters. So like the president, have like a young cocky president, and then
who drinks whiskey, loves
the women.
No, loves 80s and 90s music.
Yes, which I even love.
Oh my god! So that's the thing about the music of this show is for Brad and I. And they do like these remakes of the song and make them like slower or more intense or and stuff like Eye of the Tiger. The music is great because they're all like 80s hair band or 80s rock.
I'm glad you brought that up.
So the music is outstanding in this, in the way they do it, and they actually, some of the episodes are named after the song, like Eye of the Tiger. And then that song is kind of played throughout that thing, and he's just a huge 80s music fan. So he likes whiskey, he likes listening to his 80s music. Him and his wife are estranged, and he's banging this unattractive black woman who is a Secret Service agent or FBI. She's FBI.
I think she's FBI.
She's FBI. The only casting, she's a good actress.
She's very good.
Very good actress. I very believable, very good actress.
She's not.
But if you're sleeping with somebody, well,
especially as handsome as him.
Right, there's only 25,000 people down there. Maybe there's just limited pickings, So she is most attractive woman down there.
They could have made this president so douchey.
Dude, his wife is way more attractive than her.
They could have made this president so douchey, but he was so likable.
Oh, he was great.
And they made him and his relationship with Xavier was so good. And and
it's heartbreaking to see how he did this stuff to try to save his wife and stuff. It
was also good. The character,
there's some regret, I think, by Xavier Collins, that Sterling K. Brown's character. There's some regret, I think, after his death, and when he finds out a lot of what was going on. There's some regret that he treated him so, because he hated him. He actually wanted him to be dead, even though he was his number one protector.
Because he blamed
killing his wife. He believed that him not getting his wife out, and
letting him know sooner.
And you know what the other thing I really love in the episode 7 is when the president went and told it was honest with everybody. It was blunt and honest with everybody. They didn't feed him any shit. Because here's the problem with politics, and this is what, him and I disagree on certain things, but the last administration and the Democrat side does not want to tell you the truth.
I don't think mini politics want to tell
Yeah,
you the truth.
but right now we're getting the truth. They're
Yeah.
trying to, they're showing us the truth. They're going, people are like jumping up and down saying that's not true on the other side, but then the facts are the facts. When you have it laid out for you and you're being more transparent than anybody.
I'm not digressing on this.
But I'm saying is, all right, how often did you hear from Joe Biden?
Well, Joe Biden was a corpse.
Yes, but how, and what were they being deceitful about? The fact that he was a corpse and he wasn't making decisions. There was a cabal behind the scenes making the decisions, and he was not making the decisions. Now we have a president who's actually making decisions, and he talks to the press nonstop,
for good or bad.
So this president was a good guy. He wanted to tell the people, like the people behind the scenes, the cabal.
They could have made
they
it.
were running it. Wanted him to read this speech that was bullshit.
Yep.
And he saw the guy who was cleaning. He was like a
lifelong laborer at the White House,
and went over to him, was talking to him, and he turned around and goes, "We got to tell the American people the truth." And he went back over the objections of all the smart, intellectuals trying to tell him, "No, we got to keep the people in the dark. We don't like mass panic." And it led to people getting shot. Like people start, there's going to be a panic.
Yeah.
But you got to be honest with people and give people the chance to go. I'll give Brad a text if the end of the world's coming. I'm going to send Brad a text and go, "Hey, brother." Might even call him and say, "See you on the other side, man. It was good knowing you."
Quick, let's do a podcast.
Let's do a world-ending podcast. But you get he wants people to have a chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, and
he knows what's coming. And it was you don't get that with a lot of the politicians now. They want to keep everybody in the dark and keep power and control.
That was my whole
thumb
point
on people, and I love that aspect of it.
Like the writers could have just made this show really simple and be like, "All right, this guy's going to be young douche, just completely at the whims of this cabal."
But wouldn't make the show as good.
Yeah.
So that's what we're saying is this is why it's such a good show, and you will really like it, is because it's very well written and the character development is amazing in it. You actually feel a connection, like when the president gets killed in that first stuff, you're like sitting there going, but as you get to know, you're even more pissed off as you get to know all the good. Now, did he have some bad qualities? Of course, but everybody does. Everybody has good and bad about him.
Yeah, I felt more upset about his death at the end of the season than I did like in the first episode where you see him get, you see him that he's been killed.
Because they basically redeem his character's never somebody you hate. He's just kind of like a.
But at the end of it, like, oh, he was a good president. Like, oh man, I wish he could have been around.
And I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So let's get into like Xavier Collins.
But
let me just say this: if there's going to be a sex scene, I get women are underappreciated, like as far as they don't show a lot. Now, lately, though, if you watch Reacher, all they do in Reacher is show fucking him half naked or his ass.
Guys had a good run. We had like 30 years of like gratuitous boob shots, and butt shots. But it is clearly swung the other way.
Out of all the actresses in Hollywood, probably top 5 that I think are just physically attractive.
Yeah.
And
Sterling K is one of them. Is that what you're saying?
No, Sarah Sahai.
Yeah.
I've always thought she's been around for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And I always just thought she was like in a Chris Tucker. I don't know if you remember, the first time I remember seeing her was that girl is stunning. But then she started having bigger roles, like with the Jackie Chan Rush Hour.
Yep.
But you see that clip out quite a bit of her and her fat friend.
Yeah.
You've seen that one.
Yeah.
I just think she's like stunningly attractive, and she has something in her eyes which is sexy, like sexual, like she has an energy.
You were smitten.
Oh, I do. I think she's
a
very attractive. So they end up having she's a doctor.
A steamy.
She's one of the people who's designed all this. She's a psychologist. She's one of the people who's designed this whole thing. Anyway, they have a steamy sex scene. They get in a shower, and all we see, she's naked. All we see is Sterling K. Brown's back. Very great. Hey, you know what? You've been in the gym, brother. Very muscular ass.
Very good.
Reacher-like, except a lot much smaller than Reacher. But you know what? Great. Then you have to turn around and show us the other side. I want to see her. We don't get any of her. We get like a tiny bit of side boob, like underneath his arm or
with
something.
Steam
as they're making out in the shower. That's the number one fault.
That's the only complaint.
No, I have 2 complaints. So that was my number 1 complaint. And number 2 is, all right, so we know everything is made in Hollywood is left-leaning, right? Oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, global warming. Oh, we can't eat any meat. Let's have soy products. blah 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 blah.
Well, they
blah.
can't have
They
can't have
can.
cows
You
in there.
can in any ecosystem. You can have animals.
Too
There's
hard.
ways to design it for that. So anyway,
Too hard.
yeah, and you're gonna have a bunch of people that when they come out of there, they're gonna have to deal with all the radioactive people out there that are fucking strong and powerful, and they're gonna go, oh, look at these frail little pale people in here. Anyway,
I'm strong from eating radioactive rats.
oh, we got to do this because it's better for you to eat tofu and to eat soy.
Well,
and
see,
these things. There's some themes in it which are still the left leaning Hollywood, but
I
in
didn't
general,
see it that way because
towards the end I was like going, come on, like that global scientist.
Well, he's bitter.
He's bitter,
he's
but
exasperated because he was one of the presentation people who told the girl like the end was coming.
Yeah,
and everybody walked out of it.
Her life.
Yeah, and everyone walked out, and he was just exasperated because he's like, "Oh, this is like we're gonna have this massive wave. It's gonna send this stuff," and everyone's laughing at him. And then, of course, he's the one who's being interviewed when his prediction came right, and he's just
great.
like,
when the world is ending, he's on TV, and he's basically, "Fuck you, you dumbass! You know, you're gonna die." You know,
I tried to tell you. So I think it's safe to say that I am way more into post-apocalyptic lore than you.
You are, yes. I'm not.
And those of us,
I don't dislike it, but I'm not zombie stuff. I dislike, but you know,
those of us like me who live in this realm, who like Wayward Pines, which this kind of remind me of, all of this stuff. It's very well known that cattle is the least like efficient thing to get meat. It takes way more water, it takes way more grass than the beef you get. So it's easier to have like smaller mammals.
Yeah, you could have pigs,
chickens.
You could have lambs, you could have goats. There's a lot of things that you could have. Rabbits.
So they might have that, but they don't. They said like they don't have like hamburgers.
No, they just
have,
show
like,
greenhouses where they're getting good greens.
But they do have animals. But that's what I thought. I didn't think it as a right.
What animals did they have?
They had eggs.
They weren't allowed to have a dog. No pets.
Yeah, because they might have to kill it. But they had eggs, so they have chickens.
Did you see eggs?
Yeah,
I didn't see any eggs.
Yeah,
I saw fake ducks.
Go back.
I didn't see any animals whatsoever.
Yeah,
maybe soy-based eggs.
That could be.
Anyway, those are the only two.
Yeah.
I mean, if those are the two issues you have where there's some subtle like left-leaning topics in there, but it's not even in your face, except for like one episode, it's in your face. But it, you know, like super volcanoes are real and they've happened in our history, and we'll hope we're about 65 million years since the Yellowstone one, and they said anywhere from 65 to 85 million years.
We're due for a big one.
We're due. I mean, I watched a whole show on super volcanoes and on Yellowstone, and it made me go, "Oh, we're fucked." Like the whole world is fucked because of the amount of stuff that goes into the atmosphere. But in the United States, we become, unless our military goes and takes over other countries, which is fully capable of doing. But basically, if that super volcano goes, you're fucking heading south to Mexico. Mexico becomes the promised land. South America becomes, the further away from that super volcano you get, the better it's going to be. But it's going to change the climate of the earth.
Yeah.
There's going to be like a nuclear winter with one of these super volcanoes.
We'll all be like, who was that? The director that made 2012 and The Perfect Storm or whatever, where like everyone was running into Mexico because of the
that was
mega hurricane.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but yeah, that was.
We're going to be like, that guy was right.
Yeah. You know,
but really, I'm glad it's going to go off in America. So I would not.
No, there's other super volcanoes around the world.
Yeah, but I'm like, if Yellowstone goes, I'm glad. I hope I'm going with it.
And a lot of people don't know that Yellowstone is just one big fucking volcano. Yeah. I mean, it is most of the national park. Not all of it, obviously, but if you look at a map of it, I've watched documentaries on it and podcasts that discuss it. But when you see it, a big chunk of Yellowstone is a crater. It's a volcanic crater. And when it decides to go, you know, you have Old Faithful and all that stuff going on. When it decides to go, that whole part of America it's like, they said something like, you take all the nuclear weapons that we have in the world and then times them by 65.
Yeah,
like times what we have. That's why it's going to cause a nuclear winter.
Watch 2012. Woody Harrelson talks all about it, and then he watches that actually.
Yeah, but when you watch, there's actually documentaries on History Channel and some really good podcasts that talk about it. That movie's good. I like that movie. But it's a real thing that could happen.
Yeah.
Every time I hear about volcanic activity in Yellowstone or how Old Faithful's acting funny, I'm like, oh shit.
It's another reason for you to go not towards Arkansas. You need to start heading toward the hills of Carolina.
I'm gonna go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Anyway, very good show. We highly recommend it. Next season, kind of spoiler, the world isn't destroyed outside. Yeah, it's been fucked up.
We gotta look for the wife.
But the wife's out there.
In a post-apocalyptic world.
We find out the wife is out there.
Yeah.
Another one of Sinatra's power plays. And there's this crazy ass bitch that fucks everything up and shoots Sinatra.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good. It's really good. We highly recommend it.
We gotta wrap this up because we got round 2.
Yeah. Well, don't tell everybody we're doing another podcast right after. You always like to go, oh look, we're wearing the same clothes. They're not gonna fucking know.
Yeah.
Unless they're really an avid fan. Like we don't have very many of those.
No.
We do this.
I take it all back.
Fun,
you're fine.
Yes.
I was a little mean to you.
Or your cousins.
Yeah. When they don't watch because he likes
they just send you
questions
on your weird one-on-one show.
I still apologize.
All right, so watch Paradise. Very good. Highly recommend it. Great writing, great acting. The story's great. Looking forward to season 2, and they have renewed it for season 2.
Yep.
So if you're one of those people like me that sees, oh well, a show's supposed to be good, but it got canceled after season 1, and I won't watch season 1 because why waste my time? But there is going to be a season 2.
More
very successful.
Shots.
Hopefully, a Sarah.
Come on, give me.
I just
more
want
Sterling K. Shiny brown.
She's just a very attractive woman. So like when I watch shows, like I there's times where you like there's a woman in it and you go, and sometimes they're not like what everybody like. She's not like considered the hottest woman in Hollywood or anything. She's a character actor now. Really, she's not leading the film. She was in Black Adam.
She is like a professional.
Yeah, she's been doing this a long time. She's in a lot of movies and TV shows, but she's not like us. But when people like talk about attractive women in Hollywood, she's very high on my list.
Yeah.
There is something that comes with the eyes. The eyes show it like where you can like get a read on somebody like, oh, this girl isn't just sexy and hot. She is a naughty girl.
I don't have that because I wear trifocals.
Yeah,
and my eyes are covered by thick layers of glass.
There's just some people that ooze sexuality, men and women.
Like me.
There's men that are on screen that make women just like quiver in the knees.
Do I ooze it now if I take off my glasses?
No, you do not.
Because I can't see anything.
Anyway,
right now.
we're gonna film another podcast, as Brad has already brought up. So that's the end of this one. Definitely watch Paradise. We highly recommend it. And if you haven't ever watched Supernatural,
we're gonna do a 32-part.
Well, we're going to do a 15-part each season. We're going to do a breakdown. We should do that especially if Star Wars, if Kathleen Kennedy doesn't like Star Wars, we're going to have to start doing some podcasts on Supernatural. We're out.
Out.